Hi, my name is Angela, and I'm here today to talk a little bit about my experience with the Neuroscience Institute at Maine Medical Center. My story began on October 14th, 2005. It was an ordinary day. I was out apple picking with my family and my two sons, and we went to dinner afterward. We had family in town, and we went to dinner at a little cafe in Falmouth, Maine. And after we ate, ironically, I was having trouble saying the word health. And my mother immediately looked at me and panicked, and I brushed her off and said, "I'm tired." But within a few minutes, I realized that I really couldn't say the word. So, not wanting to make a big scene, I pulled my husband aside and said, "Sean, I can't say the word health." And even as I heard the word health, it came out jumbled. I heard it in my head, but it came out completely a foreign language. So we departed and went straight home. We lived just a couple of miles from the restaurant, and my speech degraded on the way home. And when we got home, we went up to our bedroom. He left everybody downstairs, and I remember he looked me square in the eye and he said, "Who am I?" And I couldn't answer. And I've been married to my husband for 15 years. We've been together for 20, but I couldn't answer. So he ran down the hill. We were new to Maine. Fortunately, we had neighbors that are doctors. And he went up to the door and said, "I know we're new to Maine. You don't know us well, but my wife has never been on drugs. She's not on drugs now, and she can't talk and doesn't know who I am." So he said, "Okay, we'll be going to the hospital now." So we arrived at Maine Medical Center, the emergency room. I woke up the next day in the Maine neurological unit and was told that I had a brain hemorrhage. My brain was bleeding. They had stopped it, or it had stopped on its own. I found out that through the course of the night, I had CT scans, I had an MRI, I was evaluated, I was comatose at points. I don't remember any of it. My husband was with me and stayed with me through the night, and I was unconscious for a period of time. I had a massive seizure, which I believe he witnessed. And then I was unconscious. And when I came to, he said the first words I said to him were, "I love you." And he knew everything was going to be okay. So the next day, I find out that my brain was bleeding. We weren't sure of the next steps. There was a lot of blood and a lot of swelling in my brain. They could tell from the scans that it was not the first hemorrhage I had had. So it was hard for the doctors to get a good look at my brain. So it was a little bit of a wait and see. In the neurological unit, you get special care. I think there were about 5 beds, and you each get your own personal nurse. You're very well cared for. Obviously, they want to take every precaution, and they did. My doctor was Dr. Jim Wilson. Neither my husband or I ever questioned Dr. Wilson. We trusted him emphatically. I never felt the urge to have a second opinion. I never felt the need to go to Boston. I felt completely confident and happy with the care that I was receiving here at Maine Medical Center. I stayed in the unit for about 5 days and was released. I had to be babysat. I couldn't be alone for 30 days and would have to have regular evaluations until they kind of had some of the swelling down and figured out exactly what was going on. I couldn't drive a car, and I was put on anti-seizure meds right away. And I got a phone call that they thought that I needed brain surgery, and went in and met with Dr. Wilson. Well, they had decided that they were 98% sure that it was a cavernous angioma, which the way they described that to me in very simple terms was, imagine a cobweb about the size of a pea in your brain, and it's basically mangled veins. They just don't run smoothly. Mine ruptured multiple times. So what they wanted to do was to go in and basically pluck this pea out and solderize the veins around it. So they were 98% sure. Without getting a clean shot of my brain, they couldn't be 100%. I said to him, "What is your recommendation?" And he looked at me and said, "If you were my wife, I would have you do surgery." Enough said. We signed up for surgery. I had surgery, probably a week or two later. I had it on December 21st. So my family celebrated Christmas December 17th that year. And December 21st, I showed up at Maine Medical Center about 6 a.m. I wore my Life is Good shirt. And when I met with Dr. Wilson, I remember the whole time that he talked with me before surgery, he held my hand. And I was never scared. I had the procedure and everything went well. I was in the recovery room and Dr. Wilson came in and I opened my eyes and the first thing I said to him was, "So was it a cavernous angioma?" He knew that I was out of the woods. And that my speech was okay because my language was what was at risk. I did have some initial problems with speech, nothing major, but recall was an issue. Sometimes I would have trouble remembering someone's name or just coming up with a simple word. So I did have to relearn some of that. Maine Medical Center also helped me with that. I went to a neuropsychologist, and that was a hard experience. It is not easy to accept that you're not exactly what you used to be. But I was always encouraged. To the outside world, I looked like Angela Smith. Nothing changed. I wasn't in a wheelchair. I didn't have a cast on my arm. So that can be an isolating feeling because I knew I was different. But to everybody else, I was Angela. So I think they helped me close that gap. I think they helped the people close to me realize life is a little bit different. And I think it helped me embrace where I was. And looking back on that experience, I realize that everyone at Maine Medical Center truly cares about their patients. It doesn't matter if you're a doctor, a nurse, someone in administration, someone in environmental services, someone that checks you in. Everybody is here because they want to make people better. They want people to have healthier, happier lives. And I'm eternally grateful for that. I joke that I love Maine Medical Center. I do. I love Maine Medical Center. This place saved my life.